Sarutobi Hiruzen. Senior has already decided, Sarutobi Hiruzen asked while holding the teapot and pouring tea. Speaking of senior, it does not mean that Sarutobi Hiruzen has surrendered his status, but if compared with seniority, Wu is indeed a generation higher than Sarutobi Hiruzen. Although Tsuchikage and Hokage are of equal status, Luhan felt that Sarutobi Hiruzen called Wu senior, mostly because to bring the relationship closer. There are some things, it's time to solve it. Wu's eyes flashed a cold meaning, and he picked up the teacup and took a sip. The bandage under Wu's nose has been pulled down a bit, revealing his mouth, and Luhan can see obvious scars around the corners of Wu's mouth. It's a burn. It's time to solve it. If you wait any longer, no one can guarantee that there will be any accidents. Sarutobi Hiruzen said following Wu's words, and took a sip from the teacup. Wu nodded lightly, and his brows were slightly wrinkled, as if he had a serious concern. Luhan, who was standing on the side, hadn't turned a corner in his mind. Was it Sarutobi Hiruzen? What are they discussing? He is. Wu suddenly looked up at Luhan. Hangguang, Vice Captain Anbu. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Vice Captain. It was the first time Wu heard that Konoha Anbu had the position of Vice Captain. After a pause, he looked at Luhan and asked, "How did you find out about me?" That question again. Chapter 0387_negotiation. Ali. Before Wu asked how Luhan found out, Luhan didn't answer, because there was no need to answer. At that time Wu was an enemy, and Luhan could completely ignore any question of Wu, but now it is different. Wu was invited by Sarutobi Hiruzen, unless Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke. Stop it, otherwise Luhan really has to talk. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't stop, but looked back at Luhan. In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen is also very surprised. How did Hangguang find out about Wu? Wu like Konoha didn't do anything bad, just walked around and looked around, leaving no traces. In this case, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't find it directly unless he actively used ninjutsu. Wind. Luhan said one word. Wind. No response asked, his eyebrows condensed slightly, and then he showed a clear look. Wind. It is indeed no exposure that may prompt stealth. Because Wu is invisible, not illusory, when the wind blows on him, it is no different from blowing on other people. That is to say, Wu will block the wind. If it is a strong wind, when it blows on Wu, it will form an arc airflow. Bypassing without blowing behind him, the direction of the wind flow will be completely changed. In fact, there is a better explanation than the wind, that is, the physical induction technique. In the original work, Gaara can use the sand to detect the existence of the invisible Wu, and the invisible Wu will leave footprints when walking on the sand. However, Luhan did not know the physical sensing technique, so he could only say that it was wind. This explanation still made sense. Wu did not comment on the fact that Hangguang found himself through the wind, and chatted with Sarutobi Hiruzen again. The two discussed the current situation in the Kingdom of Rain in detail. At present, the situation in the Land of Rain is very unfavorable for the Land of Earth, because not long ago, the Iwagakure Corps was plotted in a war and lost to the Sunagakure Omegakure coalition. It is said that many senior ninjas have been damaged. Lost heavily. Recently, the Iwagakure Corps in the Land of Rain has been passively defending, and they dare not trade into the hinterland of the Land of Rain. That time, how did you lose so badly? Sarutobi Hiruzen took the initiative to mention this. I was mixed into the Legion station by spies. Wu calmly said. Spies? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. It's a puppet made from my Iwagakure ninja corpse. He raised his teacup without a reason. Sunagakure used this to steal important military information and set up a series of plans accordingly. Puppet. Sunagakure's methods are really inferior. Sarutobi Hiruzen said indignantly, but a strange brilliance flashed in his eyes. He naturally wouldn't tell Wu. Sunagakure also tried to steal Konoha's information by the same means, but it was unsuccessful. According to the latest information we have obtained, Hanzo has finalized a plan with Sunagakure. The northwest of the Land of Rain will be completely blocked. The Sunagakure-Omegakure coalition will move to the southeast, invade the Land of Fire, and jointly carve up the territory of the Land of Fire. Wu said slowly, saying stop taking a sip of tea. Really? That's bad. Sarutobi Hiruzen said copingly. Information is very important, but cannot be trusted completely. Sarutobi Hiruzen understands the meaning of Wu Sai's words very well. Let's get down to business. Without knowing that he couldn't fool Sarutobi Hiruzen, he put down the teacup and raised his head. If I help Konoha solve the trouble, what will you Konoha be willing to pay? A 2-year covenant, advancing and retreating together, living and dying together. Sarutobi Hiruzen restrained his smile and said solemnly. 3 years. Wu Ma said, also, I need your guarantee that during these 3 years, your Konoha is not allowed to expand to the outside world. Sir Wu, your request is too much. That's not what we said when we communicated. Sarutobi Hiruzen's name for Wu changed. It was a negotiation, and it was difficult for him to be polite with Wu. Plans can't always keep up with changes. Without staring into Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, I didn't expect our Iwagakure to have this loss. You also know that there are no permanent friends, interests determine everything, and now you Konoha has completed the layout, but the overall picture not moving, strong. I have to be careful. I can't guarantee that Konoha will not expand in the war. Your request will limit my Konoha's strategic actions. Sarutobi Hiruzen is very firm. He really can't guarantee, otherwise the war will be impossible. Without silence, he picked up the teapot and slowly poured himself a cup of tea. Lu Han, who was standing on the side, had already set off a storm in his heart. Is Konoha going to form an alliance with Iwagakure? A 2-year covenant, 3-year covenant. What trouble will Wu solve for Konoha? Lu Han listened in the fog, but still couldn't make up his mind. 3-year covenant, Wu said again. Agree, Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Konoha can't invade the land for 10 years. Wu changed a condition. Agreed. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't hesitate. He was not a martial artist, and if he wasn't forced, he really wouldn't let the Konoha ninja invade other countries. I have one more question. Wu looked up at Sarutobi Hiruzen again. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew what Wu wanted to ask. He paused for a moment, and said, Master Mito passed away a few days ago. Yeah. Wu nodded, looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen for 3 seconds, and said, that's it. At this moment, the headless Yuhi name changed, turning directly into a harmless orange. Lu Han suddenly understood. He understood why Wu was invited by Sarutobi Hiruzen, but he was always the big Yuhi. Because he came to negotiate, it would be no problem if the negotiation was successful, but if the negotiation failed, what would happen would not matter. Well said. Without the previous Yuhi name status, it is a self-defense counterattack. Okay. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded cautiously, then reached into his arms, took out a black scroll, slapped it on the table, pushed it to Wu, and instructed, remember to destroy it after reading it. It will guide you. Huh. Wu made a surprised nasal sound. People are in the country of Vortex. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. Wu Yi was stunned, the corners of his mouth seemed to be shaking uncontrollably, and his eyes were cold. Even God is helping me. Wu finally sighed and disappeared into the room out of thin air. Lu Han saw that the map was fully open, and kept paying attention to Wu's movement. Without stopping, he left Konoha village at an extraordinary speed, and in just over 10 seconds, he left the detection range of the Insight map. You're confused, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen began. Lord Hokage, please clarify your doubts. Lu Han respectfully said. Sit down. Sarutobi Hiruzen pointed across the table. Chapter 0388 want to pick up cheap cold. Lu Han sat opposite Sarutobi Hiruzen. He had some clues from what he just heard, but he was still a little confused. In the negotiation between the two parties, it is obvious that Sarutobi Hiruzen is at a disadvantage, and they are not raising conditions and raising the price, while Sarutobi Hiruzen can only respond passively. This is not like Sarutobi Hiruzen's style of doing things. How could he be so passive? Known as the greatest Hokage of all time, Sarutobi Hirazen's strength and ability are beyond doubt. He should be very good at negotiating this kind of thing, but he even told nothing about Uzumaki Mito's death. What to do? Will Sarutobi Hirazen pay so much? Do you know how Wu's injury came about? Sarutobi Hirazen asked. I know. Luhan nodded. I heard that he was burned by ninjutsu, a ghost who was not Mizukage at the time, during a battle when he was young. The rumors are true, but don't you think it's strange? Sarutobi Hirazen said again. Strange. Luhan muttered, hesitantly said. It is indeed a bit strange. The country of water is located in the southeast of the ninja world, and the country of earth is in the northwest. The two countries, in terms of the entire ninja world, are the farthest apart. I can't imagine how the two of them fought together, or a life and death battle. The contradiction between them is not a contradiction at the national level of the ninja village, but a personal grievance. The specific. I have also heard that there may be inaccuracies, so I will not tell you. Sarutobi Hirazen continued, you just need to know, they are mortal enemies, and hatred cannot be resolved. Understood. Luhan nodded. No, he is 57 years old this year. His body has already begun to age, and because of the injury, his strength will decline faster. Sarutobi Hirazen held up the teacup, seeing that a full-scale war is about to break out. Bear with it. World War. As early as a year ago, due to physical reasons, he planned to abdicate and become a sage. The position of Tsuchikage he chose to inherit as his direct disciple, Onoki. Lord Hokage, can we avoid detours? Luhan said helplessly. He didn't want to listen to Sarutobi Hirazen telling stories. It's not a detour. I have to let you understand why Wu made this decision. Sarutobi Hirazen put down the teacup, shook his head with some emotion. Wu's courage is comparable to my teacher. What decision? Luhan asked. This is the key. He decided that before his strength diminishes significantly. Sarutobi Hirazen said heavily. Kill the ghost lantern Moon. Huh. Luhan's body was shocked, his eyes widened rapidly. In Luhan's mind, all kinds of complicated thoughts were smoothed out at this moment and turned into a clear line. No need to kill Ghost's Lantern Moon. Second generation Tsuchikage wants to kill second generation Mizukage. I sent White Fang to track Ghost Lantern Moon before, just to prepare for Wu. Sarutobi Hirazen continued. Originally, under normal circumstances, Ghost Lantern Moon will sit in Kurigakure village. Sneak into the village of Kurigakure and launch a life-threatening battle against the Ghost Lights and Magic Moon. Ghost Lights and Magic Moon will definitely meet, otherwise. Kurigakure, except for Ghost Lights and Magic Moon, no one is Wu's opponent. Let Wu kill in Kurigakure village. Kurigakure can't bear it such a loss. Wu has no intention of returning to Iwagakure village alive. Don't be afraid of death. Such people are the most terrifying. Wu just said that the gods are helping him, of course, because Ghost Lantern Wanyu actually left Kurigakure village and arrived in the country of Vortex, which will make it easier for Wu to kill Ghost Lantern Wanyu, but Ghost Lantern Wanyu is in the Vortex. The whereabouts of the country are uncertain, and it is not easy to find anyone without the assistance of White Fang. Quote. Luhan got it all. Just talked to Sarutobi Hirazen and mentioned helping Konoha solve the trouble. This trouble is Kurigakure. Kurigakure can be said to be the biggest trouble for Konoha at the moment, but no, as long as the Ghost Lantern Moon is killed, the second generation of Kurigakure Mizukage is dead, which means that Kurigakure has lost the power of several regular legions. With the strength of Ghost Lantern Wanyu, it is really not a problem to fight several regular legions by one person. And he is such a master. From some perspectives, he is not comparable to several conventional armies in terms of effectiveness. Once Ghost Lantern Wanyu is killed in battle, there is at least an 80% chance that Kurigakure will retreat from the Kingdom of Vortex. And Luhan also knew that the result of Wu and Ghost Lantern Wanyu's final battle was to die together. There has been an accurate record in the original work that during the Fourth Ninja World War, the second generation of Mizukage Ghost Lantern Moon, the second generation of Tsuchikage Mew, the third generation of Reikage I, and the fourth generation of Kazekage Rasa were simultaneously impure world reincarnation, never in the conversation with Ghost Lantern Moon. It can be known that they perished together in a war. Wu helped Konoha to solve Kurigakure, and Konoha allied with Iwagakure against Sunagakure and Omegakure. Both sides had to pay a huge price. Comparatively speaking, Wu paid a higher price because he was going to die, but from another perspective, in other words, the conflict between Wu and Ghost Lantern is not a day or two. His contribution is for Iwagakure and himself, and there is selfishness in it, so on the whole, neither side took advantage of this negotiation. Lord Hokage. Luhan stood up suddenly. I have a request for this subordinate. What? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. What kind of request would be made at such a time? Send me to the country of Vortex. I wanted to help Mr. Wu, for Konoha at the time. With my assistance, I think what Mr. Wu has to do will be easier to achieve. In this way, the trouble in the country of Vortex can also be solved. Get it resolved, Luhan said with awe-inspiring righteousness, but in fact it was full of selfishness. It's true that he wants to help Wu, but the purpose of his help is to get rewards. In the ultimate battle between Wu and Ghost Lantern Wanyu, it is difficult to say who will kill Ghost Lantern Wanyu. If Luhan can kill Ghost Lantern Wanyu cheaply, the reward will be unimaginable. Are you going to help him? Sarutobi Hiruzen was slightly attentive and pondered. Guaranteed not to kill the ghost lamp and the moon, it is indeed necessary, but whether to send the cold light out is also worthy of careful consideration. P.S. There is a bug in the original book about the time of death of No and Ghost Lantern. In the comics, Senju Tobarama is not mentioned in the volume of Impure World Reincarnation. It can be speculated that they died before Senju Tobarama, but if they died before Senju Tobarama, they shouldn't know the third generation of Reikage, and how Senju Tobarama died. The third generation of Reikage knows best, and it is not the fourth generation of Kazekage to say. It is difficult to explain the fact that Wu and Gillen Genyu can fight together. In this book, I set the death time of Gillen Genyu and Wu as the early stage of the Second Ninja World War, so I hereby explain. Chapter 0389_Famous Punching Bag. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought for a long time, finally raised his head, raised his hand and said, "You go first, let me think about it." It's over. Luhan suddenly sighed in his heart. Obviously, Sarutobi Hiruzen said to think about it, then it's probably not going to happen. Of course, Luhan is still looking forward to a turnaround. After all, he came to this world, and he had a great influence on the country of water, and produced a butterfly effect that spread far and wide. Therefore, it is impossible to successfully kill Ghost Lantern Wanyu. Hard to say. At present, you are still concentrating on preparing to challenge the position of Captain Anbu. Anbu's daily affairs also need your care. Don't think too much. If there is another change in the country of Vortex, I will send you there. Sarutobi Hiruzen said again. Yes. This subordinate retire. Luhan respected Sarutobi Hiruzen, and then disappeared into the room. Little guy, what the hell are you trying to do? After Luhan left, Sarutobi Hiruzen said with a puzzled look on his face. He could feel that Han Guang took the initiative to ask to go to the country of Vortex to help Wu, not for Konoha. Or, not just for Konoha, there must be other purposes. Cold light is not White Fang after all. Sarutobi Hiruzen knows that Han Guang is actually lazy. Although he is competitive, he has no desire for power. Although he has pursued merits and honors, he is often forced to do it. Every time Han Guang establishes merits, there is a reason for it, rather than him taking the initiative to do it for Konoha. Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt strange. It was the critical period for Han Guang to cultivate Hiraishin, but he took the initiative to request to go to the country of Vortex. It would be strange if there were no ghosts in it. But Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't figure out what was going on inside. At dusk, the gates of the ninja school opened, and it was another day after school. Look, isn't that cold? What is this guy doing here? I haven't seen him in a long time. This guy, hey, let me tell you, when he was at the ninja school, 10-10 was beaten, but it was terrible. The most famous punching bag since the establishment of the ninja school was him. Be quiet, I heard that he's all chunin now, we can't compare. What are you afraid of? Humph. If he hadn't had the bad luck and was accepted as a disciple by Master Tsunade, how could he have become chunin? He didn't graduate from ninja school at the beginning, and he didn't pass the graduation exam for several consecutive years. Dropped out of school. Huh, why is the fool next to him so familiar? I know, it's Might Dai. Everyone says he's eternal genin, and there are rumors that he doesn't seem to have a good mind, but he's stupid. It's really like a group. Under the big tree in front of the ninja school, Lu Han, who was dressed in casual clothes, had a loveless expression on his face, and did not speak in a dull manner. Beside Lu Han, Might Dai was wearing a Konoha ninja uniform, his brows were furrowed, and the corners of his mouth were twitching. Children from 6 to 12 years old kept walking out of the school gate, and when they saw Lu Han and Might Dai, they would point and discuss. Most ninja school students know Han. Because they are Han's classmates, Han has only left the ninja school for more than a year, and the 6-year-old child who was in the same class as Han back then is only 7 years old this year. Geniuses are a minority after all, and there are not many students who graduate from ninja school in 1 year. According to Lu Han's original plan, he didn't plan to pick up Uzumaki Kushina from school today, but because of an accident at noon, he knew that the little girl was angry, so he changed his plan and brought Might Dai. Might Dai is an adult, with adults present, Uzumaki Kushina should give some face, right? Come out. Might Dai suddenly turned his head and whispered. Yeah, Lu Han responded with a nasal voice. He saw that the little girl had just walked out of the school gate and was saying hello and goodbye to a few familiar little girls. Those little girls were all 6 or 7 years old, and they all looked soft. The weak one. Cough. Lu Han raised his fist against his mouth and coughed lightly. Kushina turned her head and glanced at it, her eyes widened suddenly, showing an angry look. She turned and walked away, walking along the wall of the ninja school, walking quickly, her whole person exuding a kind of, I'm very angry, don't get me, vibe. Dead girl, Lu Han muttered, and quickly chased after Uzumaki Kushina. Might Dai followed Lu Han's pace. As soon as Lu Han walked into the middle of the road, Uzumaki Kushina, who was walking against the wall, suddenly stopped, and someone blocked the way. In front of him was a slightly taller boy of 7 or 8 years old. He was well proportioned and stood upright. From his posture and temperament, it could be seen that this boy had been practicing physique since childhood. His eyes were white, and it was from the Hyuga family. In Lu Han's eyes, his name was displayed as Hyuga Bike, and beside Hyuga Bike, there were also several half-old children of the Hyuga family who surrounded Uzumaki Kushina. Damn girl, let you meddle in your business. Today you are dead. Hyuga Bike gestured to Uzumaki Kushina with a fist. What, want to fight? Uzumaki Kushina raised his hands fiercely and rolled up his sleeves. Beat her. Hyuga Bike waved his hand and rushed up first. Bang, 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 bang bang bang. A one-sided fight, Uzumaki Kushina almost punched 3 punches and 5 divisions and knocked down all the half-eldest children of the Hyuga family. Her strength was very strong. A painful hum. You idiot, you dare to mess with Pepper. It's a shame, a group of people can't beat a girl. Many students around who had just left the school stopped and started talking. Humph. A bunch of trash. Uzumaki Kushina swept his hands and raised his chin proudly. Hey, damn girl, fighting again, how did I tell you, you have to forgive others and forgive them. Lu Han couldn't help but speak, showing his majesty as a teacher. In fact, Kushina was right in this matter, but Lu Han couldn't help but speak. Han wanted to find fault with Kushina. I want you to care. Kushina suddenly turned around and yelled at Lu Han fiercely. At this moment, Hyuga Bike, who had just been knocked down, stood up silently behind Uzumaki Kushina, took out kunai from his arms, and Yuhi stabbed Kushina's leg with his eyes. Chapter 0390 _ Wounded Cold. Be careful. Kushina. Hurry up! Suddenly sounded. One after another, Uzumaki Kushina turned her back to Hyuga Bike. She couldn't see Hyuga Bike's sneak attack, but she had already sensed the danger. Bastard! The little girl screamed, turning around and punching Hyuga Bike. The moment she turned around, her face changed suddenly, because she didn't expect that Hyuga Bike would actually use a knife. Call! A figure stood in front of Hyuga Luo Ning, grabbing the sharp kunai and grabbing the blade. The blood quickly washed Kui and Yuhi, but Kui was caught tightly. Can't move an inch any longer. Yeah. Blood. The younger ninja school students around screamed, especially the little girls who were only 5 or 6 years old, and some even cried out of fear. Hyuga Bike's face changed. In front of Uzumaki Kushina. Call! Call! 2 figures in black robes and masks appeared on the roof of a building more than 100 meters away, glanced at the situation from a distance, and disappeared again. They are the nameless ninjas of the Anbu Zero Squadron who were responsible for protecting the safety of Uzumaki Kushina. They can only protect them in secret. Because Anbu's Vice Captain Han Guang is present, they naturally don't need to do anything. Little brat, fight if you fight. If you can't beat a girl, go back and practice hard. What's the point of sneaking a knife? Luhan said indifferently to Hyuga Bike while holding Kuwu. Hyuga Bike's face turned pale, his hands trembled, he let go of kunai, and took a step back. Might Dai walked behind Luhan and glanced at Luhan strangely. The injury on Luhan's hand was nothing, so naturally Might Dai wouldn't make a fuss about it. He was just surprised, how could Han Guang be injured by accident? Uzumaki Kushina stood behind Luhan's side and looked nervously at Luhan's hand. From time to time, he would stare at Hyuga Bike, his hair fluttering in anger. Dang! Luhan threw the bloody Kushina at the feet of Hyuga Bike and said, "Don't do this in the future. It's not honorable for boys to bully girls, and sneak attacks are not the actions of men. Don't make trouble for Kushina. This is not an example, I understand. Is it?" Luhan was really talking in a pleasant manner. He couldn't care less about children, and just now Hyuga Bike was impulsive, but he deliberately lowered Kuwu. He wanted to stab Kushina's leg, and he had no intention of hurting Kushina's life. So Luhan didn't want to teach Hyuga Bike a painful lesson, just talk about it. However, Luhan overestimated Hyuga Bike's psychological quality. "You you bastard, why are you preaching to me? Mind your own business." Hyuga Bike cried out in embarrassment. After following Master Tsunade, do you really think you have the skills? 8-year-old Hyuga Bike knows Han because the two were classmates at the time, but they were in different classes. Ninja School, Tenten was beaten and his reputation was not good. He was lectured in a serious manner by Han in public. "Bastard, what did you say?" Luhan wasn't on fire yet, the little girl was already blown up, jumping out and going to fight Hyuga Bike. Looking for death, Hyuga Bike was also fierce, and quickly picked up the bloody Kuwu on the ground. A figure flashed in front of Hyuga Bike at a faster speed, and the hand that was still bleeding was thrown out. Snapped. A loud slap on the face, the clear voice made everyone stunned. Hyuga Bike was beaten and fell directly out. A few Kiba teeth flew out of his mouth. The school gate was completely silent, and then again several exclamations sounded. "Master! Master!" Several half-eldest children of the Hyuga family all ran to Hyuga Bike. Hyuga Bike was stunned, and half of his face was swollen. "Little devil, next time you mess around, I'll kill you." Luhan raised his eyebrows at Hyuga Bike, and grinned at Kiba. Hyuga Bike covered her swollen face, her eyes frightened and afraid to look at Luhan. "Idiot," Luhan muttered helplessly, looked back at Uzumaki Kushina, who was still staring at Hyuga Bike, and knocked Kushina's forehead back with his hand. "Let's go, damn girl." Whoops. Kushina covered her forehead and pouted at Luhan in dissatisfaction, but she also obediently left with Luhan. Luhan, Might Dai, and Uzumaki Kushina gradually drifted away. When the three of them reached the intersection, Hyuga Bike shouted hoarsely at the school gate, "Han! I'm going to kill you. ... A small forest, a remote forest path, facing the sunset, the three walked side by side. Idiot. I would have cut my hand, even if I shed a lot of blood, I don't know if I will die. Uzumaki Kushina followed Luhan with small steps, turned sideways, and walked. While holding a handkerchief, he bandaged the wound on Luhan's hand. You're so annoying, you've been nagging all the way. Luhan glanced at the little girl. It's your own idiot, why don't people tell me? Kushina frowned. Don't I care about you? If you care, you will be messed up, otherwise how could that kid hurt me? Luhan blinked at Kushina, he was injured just to coax Kushina. Now, the effort is still very high. It's worth it, the effect is remarkable, Kushina has become a lot better. HMPH, people don't want you to care. Kushina hummed, patted the back of Luhan's hand again, okay. Luhan raised his hand and looked at it. The bandage was good, but at the end he tied a bow on the back of his hand, which looked a little weird. Hey, Kushina, who had been dressing Luhan's wound all the way, finally realized that the path he was walking was a bit unfamiliar, and looked around and blinked. Aren't we going home? Today we're going to Hyuga's house. Luhan said. Hyuga's house. The little girl looked back at Luhan, her eyes widened. What are you going to do? Go. Luhan was about to say that it was Hyuga Haeyang who invited him, but he stopped, and his thoughts changed. I'm going to help you get revenge. That kid is going too far. I'll go and tell the parents for you. Are you crazy? Kushina exclaimed, grabbed Luhan's arm, and pulled Luhan to stop. Don't go. That bastard has a lot of status in Hyuga's house. Don't go, don't go. Chapter 0391_Girl Under the Cherry Tree. If you don't go, I won't allow you to go. Uzumaki Kushina took Luhan's arms with both hands and squatted on the ground. I don't want you to avenge me, I will avenge it myself, nosy guy. Damn girl, aren't you afraid? Luhan teased. Me, I'm not afraid. Uzumaki Kushina stood up suddenly and shook his little fist at Luhan. That bastard, there is nothing to fear. Humph. Let's go then. Luhan tilted his head with a smile. Let's go. Uzumaki Kushina raised a small face. Might Dai, who was standing on the other side of Luhan, didn't say a word, but from his expression, it was obvious that he was holding back his laughter. I once told Might Dai that he was asked to come here to support the scene and shock the dead girl, but the result was that he couldn't hold back at all. Even if there were other people present, Uzumaki Kushina would not give cold face at all. Hey. As soon as the three of them walked out of the woods and walked up the road, Luhan felt that someone was pulling at the corner of his clothes, and when he looked back, he saw that the little girl was staring at him pitifully with big eyes. Is it okay if you don't go? Uzumaki Kushina, who was pulling the corner of Luhan's clothes, whispered. It seemed that she had regarded the Hyuga's house as a dragon pond and a tiger's den. No, go. Luhan rejected the little girl with a dignified expression. If you are afraid, go back first. I will go there myself, and I will seek justice for you. I'm not afraid. Kushina was stubborn. What else is there to say? Luhan raised his brows. Let's go, don't be dawdling. That's right. You still owe me something. Kushina seemed to suddenly remember something. Here you are, I'll lose to you by eating noodles at noon. Luhan escaped directly from the reflection and handed it to Kushina, who was already ready. You're smart. Kushina murmured in a low voice, very preciously took the reflective kunai in his hand, hugged it in his arms, and then put it into the small satchel around his waist, with a firm and determined look in his eyes. The whole person's demeanor also became majestic and high-spirited, as if he was going to be generous. Do you want to be so exaggerated, damn girl? Luhan smiled and touched Kushina's little head. Don't worry, everything will be fine. I'm not a dead girl, don't call me a dead girl, it's so unlucky. What if I really become a dead girl? Kushina shook her head reluctantly, and pressed a pair of small hands on the Ankue's satchel. He pouted, humph. If they dare to mess around, I will fight with them. Don't cause trouble. Luhan raised his hand and flicked Kushina's forehead. Ouch. Bad guy. Kushina covered her forehead and kicked Luhan's calf. At the end of the evening, the sky is full of Yuhisha. Konoha village, the gathering place of the Hyuga clan, in front of the north gate. The beautiful girl stands quietly under the cherry tree, with a little makeup on her face, her eyebrows lightly swept away, her delicate and picturesque face, as if there are sparkling eyes flowing with waves, looking forward to the brilliance, the white hefung skirt swaying in the wind, and it is not easy to grasp. The slender waist and the fluttering skirt form a shocking contrast full of exaggeration. The wind caresses, the cherry blossoms fall, just like a painting. Hyuga's ninja, whose handle is in front of the north gate, has already entered a state of bewilderment, and even now he still thinks he has seen a ghost. Because the person standing under the cherry tree is Hyuga Luo Ning. Miss taking the wrong medicine. Miss is sick. Miss is stimulated. They had to wonder, because the eldest lady had been under the cherry blossom tree in front of the door for more than an hour. She didn't say anything or do anything. She just stood there and didn't know what she was going to do. This place is so eerie and terrifying, why don't we go back? I'm hungry, I want meat. Why, you are thinking about it yourself, this place is quite normal. No, you see, there is a grave there. That's obviously a small soil bag. Okay, where is the grave? Don't be so nervous, dead girl, it makes me almost nervous. At the intersection ahead, with the quarrel between the little girl and the big boy, three figures of different heights came slowly. Hyuga Luo Ning, who was bored looking at the cherry blossom petals, suddenly regained her energy, stood up a little, and lowered her head. She closed her chin and cleared her throat cautiously, then she showed a picturesque smile and turned around. Let me tell you, don't talk nonsense for a while, I'll just say it, don't show your face to me, dead girl, I am doing it for your own good, you are too arrogant. Luhan was making a final order to Uzumaki Kushina. The voice stopped abruptly, as if someone was strangling the neck, and the mouth had not been closed. When he saw the girl under the cherry tree, he was startled, then dumbfounded, and finally blinked hard. Luhan thought he had read it wrong, but he didn't. Hyuga Luo Ning is Hyuga Luo Ning. Just like the ninja guarding the gate, Luhan showed a ghostly expression, and he was a little confused. Hyuga Luo Ning can actually wear a skirt. Hyuga Luo Ning even wears makeup. What the hell? Hyuga Luo Ning stepped on a ladylike pace and slowly walked towards Luhan and the others. Luhan and the others gradually slowed down and finally stopped. Come on. Hyuga Luo Ning stopped in front of Luhan and said gently. When a normal man hears her voice, his bones must be crisp, but Luhan has a creepy feeling when he hears it. Sorry, girl, can I ask you a question? Luhan said quickly, do you have a twin sister, or sister, named Hyuga Luo Ning? That dead girl who looks like a tomboy all day long. HMPH. I hate it. Hyuga Luo Ning stomped his feet and cursed angrily, and said, it's someone else. Yeah, Luhan grinned and shook, goosebumps all over the floor. Hyuga Luo Ning gave Luhan a dissatisfied look. Now Hyuga Luo Ning, even staring at him, is full of strange amorous feelings. Might Die on the side was shaking his shoulders, and he couldn't help but laugh out loud. At this moment, there was a noise from the north gate not far away. Is it here? Yes, young master, take a look, the eldest lady seems to be ill. Chapter 0392 I was passing by. The sharp-eared Hyuga Luo Ning had already heard who was talking in the north gate. Her eyes flashed, her smile suddenly brightened, she immediately stepped forward and approached Luhan, smiling tenderly. Why did you come here? People have been waiting so hard. Quote. It's time for you to take your medicine. Luhan turned to Byakugan to Hyuga Luo Ning. At the same time, two people walked quickly into the north gate. The one in front was a young ninja in his early 20s. He was tall and handsome, and behind him was a middle-aged ninja with low eyebrows and pleasing eyes. Master Beitai, The two Hyuga ninjas who were holding the door greeted in unison. Hyuga Beitai, the grandson of the elder of the Hyuga branch, the leader among the geniuses of the young generation of the Hyuga family, at the age of 22, with outstanding talent and excellent understanding, he has officially become an elite jonin half a year ago, and is one of the few talents in the contemporary Hyuga family. The man of the elite jonin before the age of 25. Let's go in. Hyuga Luo knew that Hyuga Beidai had come out, but as if she didn't know, he took another step forward, directly grabbed Luhan's arm, and hummed, "Don't make trouble. Don't be cute," Luhan said quietly. Hyuga Beidai, who had just left the north gate, saw Hyuga Luoning in a fluttering white dress at a glance. In an instant, the whole person was stunned, and then went crazy. This is the first time in his life that he has seen Hyuga Luoning dressed up like this, so beautiful and beautiful. Let's go. Hyuga Luoning had grabbed Luhan's arm and pulled Luhan towards the door. Hyuga Beitai seemed to notice Luhan's existence. His pupils shrank violently, a wave of heat rushed up the back of his head uncontrollably, his hair floated up, and the veins on his forehead burst out, almost furious. Luhan felt murderous at this moment, looked up and was stunned for a moment. Hyuga branch's internal guard captain and auxiliary, level 40 elite, Hyuga Beitai. It is Yuhi orange alternately. Hyuga Beitai's name is flickering in color. Luhan blinked his eyes, looked at the aggressive Hyuga Beitai who was walking quickly, glanced at Hyuga Luoning again, and seemed to understand something. The corners of his mouth trembled, he tilted his head and whispered to Hyuga Luoning, "Damn girl, don't use me as a shield. That bastard is very annoying, help me." Hyuga Luoning replied in a low voice, still smiling. "Help you a big head. Please." Luhan and Hyuga Luoning were whispering. There was no ambiguous meaning, but in Hyuga Beitai's eyes, their tastes changed completely. Luoning, who is he? Hyuga Beitai, who came to the front, shouted angrily, pointing to Luhan, looking like a thunderbolt, then looking at Luhan again and asking, "Who are you? What is our relationship with Luoning?" Hyuga Luoning's face suddenly turned cold. "I was passing by," Luhan said in a dull tone, trying to pull his hand back, but was held back by Hyuga Luoning. "He's my friend," Hyuga Luoning hurriedly said, and tightened Luhan's arm again, "the best kind." "I don't know her." Luhan immediately denied what Hyuga Luoning said. "I hate it." Hyuga Luoning turned her head to look at Luhan, shaking Luhan's arm coquettishly. "If you say that again, people will be angry." Bad guy, humph. Luoning. Hyuga Beitai was so angry that he almost went crazy, his fists were clenched tightly, and violent chakra fluctuations rose from him. Bah! At this moment, Uzumaki Kushina jumped in front of Luhan with a crisp drink, looked at Hyuga Beitai who was so angry that he seemed to be eating people, pulled out the reflective light and scratched, biting his head, "Tell you. I'm not afraid. You." After speaking, she turned around and complained to Luhan in a low voice, "I told you not to come, you're in trouble. Don't make trouble." Luhan grabbed the reflective kuwu from Uzumaki Kushina's hand, pulled Uzumaki Kushina behind him, and raised his head again. "Children are ignorant." Uzumaki Kushina, who was pulled behind, wanted to rush in front of Luhan, but Might Dai, who said nothing, held her shoulders and couldn't break free. At the same time, the middle-aged ninja who had been following Hyuga Beitai took a step forward and whispered beside Hyuga Beitai for a while, in a low voice, "That boy. Maybe, if you read it right. It's Han." Back then, he and the Sais were. The one beside him was. After Hyuga Beitai heard the middle-aged man's whisper, his anger disappeared a lot, and then he looked at Hyuga Luoning, but his expression was complicated. "Luoning, even if you can't accept me for the time being, you shouldn't be angry with me in this way. I know that I may not meet the standard in your heart, but I will." "Are you sick?" Hyuga Luoning interrupted Hyuga Beitai with a cold voice. Hyuga Beitai suddenly swelled Yuhi's face and held back, took a deep breath, and he pointed to Luhan and called out angrily, Even if you want to find popularity, you should find someone with skills, right? You are looking for this kind of rubbish. Crap, are you trying to humiliate me? Stop making trouble, he's Han, right? You 10-10 beat him when you were at the ninja school. Would you like him? I want you to take care of it. Hyuga Luoning stared, then stopped looking at Hyuga Beitai, turned her head and smiled at Lu Han, and said softly, let's go in. After she finished speaking, she immediately leaned closer and lowered her head. The voice said again, my father is waiting for you. Hyuga Luoning took Lu Han's arm, took Lu Han, Might Dai, and Uzumaki Kushina, bypassed Hyuga Beitai, and walked towards the north gate. Hyuga Beitai's breathing became heavier and heavier. He turned around slowly, his eyes followed the figures of several people, and he didn't take his eyes back until they entered the door. The violent aura on his body not only did not restrain, but became more and more fierce. Quick, quick. Be careful. Not far from the intersection, a large group of half-year-old children trotted along carrying stretchers. On the stretcher, Hyuga Bike covered his face and groaned in pain. Hyuga Beitai turned to look, and the middle-aged ninja behind him quickly said, it seems to be Master Bike. Brother, brother, Hyuga Bike cried out when he saw Hyuga Beitai. Chapter 0393_give. I, stand, live. The supergiant square paved with neat square rock slabs, at first glance, will give people a sense of openness. If you look down from the sky, people will appear extremely small in this square. This is the core of the gathering place of the Hyuga branch, called the White Jade Square. The children of the Hyuga branch have to pass through this square if they want to enter or leave this huge Hiroshi house. Hyuga Luoning led Lu Han to enter from the north gate, then entered Bayou Square and walked all the way to the south. Because of your special status, it is inconvenient for your father to come out to greet him in person. He has been waiting in his private house for a long time. Hyuga Luoning tilted her head slightly and whispered. She had let go of Lu Han's arm, although she was willing to carry it straight, but also pay attention to the impact. I couldn't meet him in person. My father asked me to apologize to Lord Hengguang on his behalf. Words of Lord Hengguang. Hyuga Luoning deliberately bit hard, as if joking. It's okay, Lu Han replied solemnly, then looked sideways at Uzumaki Kushina who was walking aside with small steps, and reached out to touch Kushina's small head. The little girl was angry, her little face pouted slightly, and she looked annoyed. Lu Han touched her head, but she seemed to be reluctant to hide. Miss. The four of them walked forward, and several Hyuga ninjas passed by. They all greeted Hyuga Luoning and looked at Lu Han frequently. Hyuga Luoning's outfit today is really amazing, and walking with Lu will naturally be reminiscent. Aren't you angry? Hyuga Luoning tilted her head again and whispered when several Hyuga ninjas walked away. What? Lu Han glanced at Hyuga Luoning. Why should I be angry? Just now, calling you a waste. Aren't you angry? Hyuga Luoning's face became strange. Why didn't you find you so generous before? Lu Han smiled. There are many people who scold me for trash. How old is he? Besides, didn't you scold me before? Lu Han blinked at Hyuga Luoning. That's all in the past. Hyuga Luoning's face Yuhi slapped. Here, me, stand, stop. An angry shout suddenly sounded, coming from behind several people. Lu Han and the others stopped and looked back. Hyuga Luoning frowned instantly. Lu Han raised his brows, and Uzumaki Kushina took out the reflective kuwu that Lu Han had just returned to her, looking very courageous, but hid behind Lu Han. The gate, Hyuga Beitai's hair was moving without wind, and the terrifying chakra waves waving all over his body. His face was extremely hideous. Behind Hyuga Beitai, a large group of half-old children carrying stretchers have entered the door, with Hyuga Bike covering his face. It's over, that bastard kid is back. Uzumaki Kushina yelled when he saw Hyuga Bike. When Uzumaki Kushina just finished speaking, Hyuga Beitai disappeared at the gate, and then appeared near Lu Han and others, staring at Lu Han with cannibalistic eyes. Bastard! Hyuga Luoning stood in front of Lu Han in a flash and scolded Hyuga Beitai Jiao, "What do you want to do? Are you still finished? It's none of your business." Hyuga Beitai gritted Kiba's teeth and made a hoarse voice, his bloodshot eyes staring at Lu Han. He suddenly turned his hand back, he pointed to the back, and asked, "You hit my brother." Brother, it's him, Hyuga Bike on the stretcher at the door cried. Hyuga Luoning was stunned for a while, looked at Hyuga Bike at the door in the distance, then looked back at Lu Han and gave an inquiring look. Hyuga Luoning had a hard time believing this was true. How could Han go bullying children? But it seems to be true. Hyuga Bike will not randomly identify people. It was me. Seeing that Hyuga Beitai had become a pure Yuhi name, Lu Han's tone was extremely cold. "You are so brave," Hyuga Beitai shouted violently, his voice thundering. "He bullied my girl." Lu Han returned to hug Uzumaki Kushina's shoulder. "Dare to use a knife with my girl, and he will not change his stubbornness. Beating him is light." Hyuga Luoning's face changed greatly. She knows Kushina's identity. Recently, she was assigned by Lu Han and took care of Uzumaki Kushina's daily life as an Anbu ninja. Because she was tasked with taking care of Uzumaki Kushina, she was always wearing a mask, so Kushina didn't recognize her. Ha, you really? Hyuga Beitai laughed angrily, because he couldn't believe that Han dared to talk to him like this. His face darkened again, he glared at Lu Han, bit Kiba and said, "Uchiha doesn't even dare to take care of the Hyuga family's affairs. You really have the guts because you are Tsunade's disciple." Call. Hyuga family with strong physique and tall stature. In Lu Han's eyes, the prefixes of the line above their heads were all. Hyuga splits the home guard. Hyuga Beitai did not notify others to come, but Hyuga Neiwei's office building was nearby, and they all felt the violent breath of Hyuga Beitai, and came over by themselves to see what happened. At this time, in this square, in all directions, far and near, the Hyuga ninjas who passed by stopped and looked at the situation. They could feel the anger from the violent breath, so they did not dare to get too close. Just in time, seeing the person coming, Hyuga Beitai immediately pointed to Lu Han and exclaimed excitedly, "Catch him and bring him back, I'll have a good talk with him." Yes, the dozen or so Hyuga inner guards agreed with a bang, and were about to step forward. "Who dares to think?" Hyuga Luoning shouted and glared left and right, and the guards immediately stopped and looked at Hyuga Beitai hesitantly. For the Hyuga family, the rules of the family are greater than all the shortcomings. The law must give way to the rules of the family, and disobedience is a serious crime. Therefore, Hyuga Luoning protected Lu Han, and those inner guards did not dare to do anything even if they were ordered by their immediate superiors. Okay, Hyuga Luoning, he injured my Hyuga clansman, but you are still protecting him. Hyuga Beitai was almost insane. Okay. Then I'll come in person. I see who dares to stop me. Boom. Hyuga Beitai moved in an instant. Chapter 0394 He is calm. Boom. At this moment, the rocky ground beneath Hyuga Beitai's feet sank, and countless pieces of rock slag flew up. Like a tiger and leopard just out of the cage, Hyuga Beitai rushed towards Lu Han, and his eyes appeared folds, fists clenched, like a heavy hammer that will break the mountain at any time. Stop! Just when Hyuga Beitai was about to rush in front of Lu Han, with a coquettish shout, Hyuga Luoning took a step to the side, blocking Lu Han's whole body behind him. The fist wind swept across Hyuga Luoning's face, dancing wildly with her jet black hair. Hyuga Beitai stopped his fist abruptly, less than an inch away from Hyuga Luoning's face. He would not attack Hyuga Luoning, or rather, he did not dare. In terms of identity, although Hyuga Beitai has an important position in the Hyuga branch family and is the grandson of the chief elder, it is even worse than the identity of the daughter of the branch chief and the niece of the main clan chief. You must protect him, right? Hyuga Beitai said with bloodshot eyes, biting Kiba. I think you need to calm down. Hyuga Luoning said with a frown, she looked anxious, and gave Hyuga Beitai a subtle wink. Although Hyuga Luo Ning hates Hyuga Beitai, she doesn't think Hyuga Beitai should be damned, and if Hyuga Luo Ning doesn't stop her, if this punch really hits Luhan, I don't know if he can still leave a whole body. Whether he likes it or hates it, Hyuga Luo Ning always believes that he should protect his own people. You must protect him, is that right? Hyuga Beitai asked, almost word for word, and repeated. His face was even heavier. He obviously didn't understand the meaning of Hyuga Luo Ning's hidden wink. We can talk alone, now. Immediately, Hyuga Luo Ning said quickly. Then don't blame me. Hyuga Beitai shouted furiously and moved again. This time, he didn't even care that it was Hyuga Luo Ning who was standing in front of him. He reached out and grabbed Hyuga Luo Ning's shoulder and waist. He twisted his arm vigorously and threw Hyuga Luo Ning directly out. Ah! Miss! Surrounded by exclamations. A die! Luhan called softly at this moment. Boom! 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 The violent aura rose one after another on Might Dai, becoming more and more violent, as if it was about to boil. The 8 inner gates opened 6 doors in a row. After Hyuga Beitai threw Hyuga Luo Ning out, he stomped his feet and ran straight to Luhan, but turned his head abruptly and looked at Might Dai. He didn't see Might Dai's figure clearly, all he could see was the flames. Boom! Whip legs like thunder, with dazzling fire, sweeping and hitting Hyuga Beitai's abdomen. Hyuga Beitai flew upside down like a cannonball, flew over tens of meters in an instant, hit the ground diagonally, smashed a big hole in the rock, bounced up again, fell back again, and rolled back after landing. After 6 or 7 meters, he stopped completely, turned to one side again, bowed his head and sprayed blood on the ground. Due to the continuous impact and friction on the ground, Hyuga Beitai has turned into a bloody man, but the trauma has been bruised for a long time, but it is not serious, mainly the inside, the ribs are broken. The half-old children at the door were already stunned. Hyuga Luo Ning, who was thrown out, folded continuously in the air, and finally turned around and landed safely. After she landed, she raised her head sharply to see the situation, and then her knitted brows loosened a lot, and she breathed a sigh of relief. Han did not move. Hands on as Might Dai. In this way, at least no one will die. Might Dai, who kept the whip leg high, slowly retracted his leg, and the violent and rising aura on his body also slowly subsided. He looked so handsome at this moment, and his other foot was full. He didn't move, he still stood in the previous position, and he hit Hyuga Beitai severely with just one blow. In fact, after opening the 6 gates, Might Dai has entered the ranks of the elite Jonin. Compared with Hyuga Beitai, his strength is not much stronger. He can hit Hyuga Beitai with one blow, mainly because the fighting style is more suitable for him. Pure power and speed. This is Might Dai's ability, and Hyuga's gentle fist method is a skillful physical art. If Might Dai and Hyuga Beitai are prepared in advance and understand each other's abilities, then, although Might Dai can beat Hyuga Beitai, it is not easy, and it is impossible to solve it easily. But just now, Hyuga Beitai rushed up directly, relying on his speed and strength as a taijutsu ninja. But was attacked by Might Dai, who was faster and stronger, and the speed was fast enough to rub the air into flames. Whip legs, at such close range, Hyuga Beitai can't dodge. ... Give me, kill them, kill them. Hyuga Beitai, who stood up near the gate covered in blood and staggered, let out a shrill roar, and he just roared before his body returned. Kneeling down on one knee, he lowered his head and vomited blood. Call. Hyuga Luo Ning dodged in front of Luhan, staring at her beautiful eyes and looking left and right. Hyuga inner guards around you look at me and I look at you, but no one dares to make a move. Let's go, my father has been waiting for you, it's been a long time. Hyuga Luo Ning leaned over to Luhan again and whispered quickly, she was in a hurry to take people out of here, she was afraid of another conflict, then. Death. It must be the Hyuga clan, the entire Hyuga branch, except for the patriarch, no one is the opponent of Hengguang. If it wasn't because of Anbu's rules that Hengguang wanted to hide his identity, Hyuga Beitai might have died. At the same time, the inner courtyard of Hyuga's branch mansion, the patriarch's private residence, and the top of the 9-story tower, Hyuga Haeyong looked at the situation on Bayou Square from afar, and said with a light smile, "Brother, what do you think of him?" Next to Hyuga Haeyong, there is a tall middle-aged man who is somewhat similar in appearance to Hyuga Haeyong but is older. It is the chief of Hyuga main clan, the real controller of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Huyong. He's very calm, Hyuga Huyong said calmly, no less than when he was wearing a mask. No wonder Lord Hokage is so important. Then, what happened between him and Luo Ning? Hyuga Haeyong asked. Chapter 0395_Super S-Class Killer. Haeyong, you have to understand that once this case is opened, there will be endless troubles. Hyuga Huyong glanced at his younger brother. Although the troubled times are coming, my Hyuga clan will not necessarily be destroyed in this catastrophe, so let's take a step. Take a step, don't be in a hurry at this moment. What eldest brother said is. Hyuga Haeyong bowed his head respectfully. Luo Ning is still young, so he's really not in a hurry. Well, you just understand. Hyuga Huyong looked at the white jade square in the distance. Cold light is very good, but after all, he is a rootless duckweed. He does not represent anyone, only himself, not from an ancient and famous family. It's not after Konoha's achievements. If he's gone, everything will be gone. Heroes emerge in troubled times, but no one can predict whether he will become famous in troubled times, or fall in glory. Big brother, you are very worried. Hyuga Haeyong raised his eyes to look at his brother. Lord Hokage is more worried. This is a disaster that no one can escape. Hyuga Huyong said, turning to look at his brother again. Wait a little longer. Yes. Hyuga Haeyong bowed his head. I'll go first, Han Guang. You can entertain him. By the way, there is one more thing. You can discuss with him in detail. If possible, you will. Hyuga Huyong lowered his voice subconsciously. Hyuga Branch Bayou Square. A solemn and depressing atmosphere shrouded the hearts of every Hyuga Branch family member, who dared to seriously injure an important person of the Hyuga family in the Hyuga family settlement. It seems that this kind of thing has not happened for a long, long time. Hyuga Luo Ning led the way, and led Lu Han, Might Dai, and Uzumaki Kushina to the south of Bayou Square. The surrounding Hyuga guards have all moved out of the way, and they dare not stop Hyuga Luo Ning. Hyuga Luoning, you are a Hyuga clan. Near the north gate, Hyuga Beitai, who was seriously injured and unable to get up, raised his head and roared hysterically. The setting sun is like blood. The dusk of this day is about to pass away, and the sky has been dark for a long time. The inner courtyard of Hyuga's branch house, the private residence of the patriarch, Hyuga Luo Ning brought Lu Han and a few people into the hospital, and Hyuga Haeyong came towards him. Seeing Lu Han, Hyuga Haeyong had a smile on his face, but the two didn't say much. Bowing to each other, Hyuga Haeyong raised his hand and gestured to invite Lu Hengxing to the main building of the private house. In the blink of an eye, it was long into the night. In the spacious and brightly lit hall, Hyuga Haeyong and Lu Han sat opposite each other. The table between them was full of wine and vegetables. Hyuga Luo Ning and Might Dai were on both sides, and the little girl Uzumaki Kushina was sitting next to Lu Han. Perhaps because of Hyuga Haeyong's aura, she looked extraordinarily well behaved. Originally, Lu Han thought that Hyuga Haeyong invited him to come this time for Hyuga Luo Ning, but he seemed to be wrong. Hyuga Haeyong did not lead the topic to that side. What he talked about with Lu Han was nothing more than about the original in the past in the country of Vortex, and the current situation in the ninja world. The two talked as equals and had a great conversation. Hyuga Luo Ning is Hyuga Haeyong's daughter. Might Dai is Lu Han's subordinate. At this wine table, their identities are short, and they rarely speak. Uzumaki Kushina, after learning about Hyuga Haeyong's identity, spit bitterness towards Hyuga Haeyong. and said everything about Hyuga Bike and Hyuga Beidai like a bean, but Lu Han couldn't stop him. Hyuga Haeyong listened to my heart skipping a beat. Because he knows the true identity of Uzumaki Kushina. He doesn't know whether Uzumaki Mito is alive or dead, but Uzumaki Kushina is a matter of the next generation of Kyubi, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki column. When Hyuga Haeyong recruited the guard ninja, he whispered to him with a sullen face. The guard ninja took the order to leave, and Hyuga Haeyong immediately smiled again, and had a drink with Lu Han, as if nothing had happened before. After 3 rounds of wine and 5 flavors of food, Lu Han was overwhelmed by his drinking power and felt a little dizzy. This is the first time he has drank so much alcohol since he came to this world. In fact, he doesn't like to drink, but this time he was invited to come here. It's impossible not to drink, and in Lu Han's heart, Hyuga Haeyong can afford the loyalty. 2 words, have a few more drinks with him, it's not a loss. Snapped. Lu Han clinked glasses with Hyuga Haeyong again and drank all the wine in the glass. After he put down the wine glass, Hyuga Luo Ning, who was sitting on the side, immediately carried the jug to fill Lu Han and Hyuga Haeyong again. Luo Ning, go and rest, you don't have to stay here. Hyuga Haeyong held the wine glass in his hand and gave Hyuga Luo Ning a slanted glance. Hyuga Luo Ning was stunned for a moment, then understood, and immediately got up and said, "Yes, father." Then she looked at Uzumaki Kushina, who had long been full and was bored and playing with reflective kunai, and lowered her head and whispered, "Kushina, do you want to talk sister going out to play? There are beautiful lanterns here." Quote. Okay. The little girl jumped up excitedly. She had long been bored. Although she thought looking at lanterns was childish, it was always more fun than watching a young man or two drinking and laughing. A Dai. Lu Han's heart moved, he turned his head and gave Might Dai a wink. Might Dai, who was not drinking but had enough to drink, got up immediately, and the 3 of them left the hall one after another. Soon, only Lu Han and Hyuga Haeyong were left on the wooden couch on both sides of the table. Lord Haeyong, what do you want to say? Lu Han got straight to the point, and subconsciously rubbed the wine glass with his 2 fingers on the table. It's about the daimyo. Hyuga Haeyong's face became more formal. Daimyo. Lu Han was quite surprised. The daimyo mentioned by Hyuga Haeyong was naturally the daimyo of the Country of Fire. As an existence in the Country of Fire that could be on an equal footing with Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the daimyo of the Country of Fire mastered the power of the world, and he was the Country of Fire. The symbol of, controls the economic lifeline of the Country of Fire, and possesses wealth beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Captain Hengguang doesn't know about this. Hyuga Haeyong was a little surprised when he saw Lu Han's expression. Lu Han shook his head, he really didn't know what happened to the name of the Country of Fire. Well, it seems that Lord Hokage is still considering who to give the task to. Hyuga Haeyong pondered for a while, and continued, it is news from the black market that someone bought the head of the Country of Fire, and there is already a Super S. The top killer has taken over the mission. This. Lu Han's expression changed. This killer's name is Kikuzu. Hyuga Haeyong's voice sank. Chapter 0396_Black Market Bounty. Kikuzu. Lu Han was shocked. Yes, Kikuzu, it's that Kikuzu. He's still alive. Hyuga Haeyong's voice sank. Although Han was young and had not experienced that era, Hyuga Haeyong thought that since Han was the vice captain of Anbu, he should naturally know that incident, the peerless genius ninja of Taki Ninja Village, or the strongest ninja of Taki Ninja Village. Back then when he assassinated Lord Hokage Senju Hashirama, he was defeated by Hashirama's Mokuden wood-style secret technique, and escaped with serious injuries. I don't know why he betrayed Taki Ninja Village. Among the current black market Super S-class killers, he is one of the Super S-class killers with the highest commission. He still has the strength to assassinate the 5 major ninja village shadows. This guy. Lu Han was a little stunned. Lu Han more than knew that Kikuzu had assassinated Senju Hashirama. Kikuzu has left a strong impression in the original work. As a member of Akatsuki, Hidan's partner, Kakuzu's evil ability left a deep impression on people. As a senior immortal ninja, Kakuzu fought in the original work. At the time of his death, he was 91 years old, and his strength would not decline because of his age. According to the time in the original book, Kakuzu should have been born 27 years before Konoha. Kakuzu was born in the most chaotic period of the Sengoku era, and when he was in his 20s, he dared to assassinate Senju Hashirama, known as the god of the ninja world. Although his strength is far from Senju Hashirama, since he dared to assassinate Senju Hashirama, it means that he has a bit of confidence. Kakuzu, who is in his 20s, is afraid that his strength is at the cage level. It is now 31 years for Konoha and 58 years for Kakuzu. According to the expression in the original work, Kakuzu at this time must have already mastered the forbidden technique of Taki Ninja Village, and his strength can be called terrifying. It seems that Captain Hangwang has already learned about Kakuzu's information in detail. Although Anbu was not established when he assassinated Lord Hashirama, since he is still alive, Anbu should investigate him. Hyuga Haeyong said. Yeah, Luhan nodded. Anbu did have information about Kakuzu, but it was very rare. Kakuzu was very mysterious. I don't know. What does Captain Hangwang think about this matter? Hyuga Haeyong's voice slowed down. What's your opinion? Soldiers will block water and cover with soil. Luhan didn't know what Hyuga Haeyong meant when he mentioned this, but he said it cautiously. By the way, do you know who is going to offer a bounty on the name of the head? I can't find it. Hyuga Haeyong shook his head. With this level of assassination reward, even black market practitioners, very few know the inside story. In terms of bounty, because only well-known Super S-level killers can check this. It is a task of various levels, so it is not clear, but it can be speculated that it is conservatively estimated at more than 50 million. Quote. Isn't there one person running the black market? Of course not, it's a group of people, including ninjas and rich merchants. Looks like I'll have to go back and take a good look at the intelligence on the black market. Come on, drink. Hyuga Haeyong suddenly picked up the wine glass, and Luhan also picked it up. Hyuga Haeyong put down the wine glass, raised his hand and wiped his mouth, paused for a while, then looked at Luhan and said, Captain Hangwang, in fact, I mentioned this to you because I wanted to. Hyuga Haeyong showed an uneasy expression. Look. Master Haeyong has something to say. Luhan smiled. Daimyo is about to be assassinated. Although there are also ninjas protecting him, but this time the assassin is Kakuzu. Those ninjas will definitely not be able to resist. Only a few advisors including Lord Hokage and my eldest brother know. It has been a few days. It is estimated that Lord Hokage will discuss this matter with Captain Hangwang soon. At that time, I wonder if Captain Hangwang can suggest to Lord Hokage, let me the Hyuga family is responsible for protecting the daimyo. What Hyuga Haeyong said was fairly straightforward, but Luhan was stunned. Make the Hyuga family want to protect the daimyo. This is definitely not what Hyuga Haeyong means. Although he is the head of the branch family, it is beyond the responsibility of the Hyuga family when it comes to the daimyo. Without the order of Hyuga Huyong, the chief of the main clan, Hyuga Haeyong would never say anything. Such words. This, Luhan pondered, frowning slightly. What is the intention of the Hyuga family? Protecting the daimyo. If it resists the assassins and successfully protects the safety of the daimyo, then the power of the Hyuga family will inevitably increase further, and the weight in Hokage's heart will also reach a new height, but if it fails, this responsibility will be great. It was Kakuzu who took over the task of assassinating the daimyo. Kakuzu is definitely not the opponent of the Hyuga family, but assassination is not a simple comparison of strengths. Kakuzu is alone, and his whereabouts are mysterious. Maybe he will attack at any time. The Hyuga family works hard and is always on guard. It's hard to say success or failure. In fact, Anbu is most suitable for the task of protecting the daimyo, but Anbu also has the task of protecting Hokage, so Sarutobi Hiruzen cannot easily send Anbu out. It seems that Captain Hangwang is very worried. Hyuga Haeyong said suddenly. Not really. Luhan shook his head, his eyes flashed. It's just, I don't know how Lord Hokage thought about it. If I promise to do it now, if I can't do it by then, won't it hurt the relationship between you and me? Friendship. Quote. No need to worry. Hyuga Haeyoung smiled. My Hyuga family doesn't necessarily have to take on this task. I just hope that if the time is right, Captain Hangwon can help my Hyuga family say a few words. It's a trivial matter to say so. Luhan smiled. Call. In the corner of the hall, a shadow suddenly appeared, knelt on one knee and said coldly, Captain, Lord Hokage is looking for you, urgent. Huh. Luhan frowned for a while, tilted his head and glanced. Before he could say anything with Hyuga Haeyoung, he disappeared into the hall with a flash. ... Quaint room, brightly lit. In front of the long wooden couch, Sarutobi Hiruzen paced back and forth in front of the wooden couch, with his hands behind his back, looking a little anxious. Call. Luhan appeared at the door out of thin air and called out, Lord Hokage, look for me. Someone is offering a reward for your head on the black market. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Luhan and said directly. Chapter 0397_World War II begins. The news just came back from the black market. At noon today, a mysterious employer bid 20 million for the head of the Konoha Anbu ninja, Hangwon. Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned deeper. Because you are not famous in the ninja world, your intelligence, there is very little spread out, so no one has accepted the task of assassinating you for the time being. Quote. 20 million, I'm really worth it. Luhan muttered, and then said, it is estimated to be Kurigakure, the country of water. The most likely one is Kurigakure. Kurigakure has such financial resources and has such a big hatred. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. Yeah, he thought so too. In fact, in the case of black market rewards, most of the time, it doesn't matter who the employer is, because the employer has already provided the money, and the money is already on the black market. Therefore, even if the employer dies unexpectedly, the reward will not be revoked, and the killer will not die because of the employer. Instead of killing people, they don't work for their employers, they work for money. One more thing. Sarutobi Hiruzen dragged a long tone, made a gesture to Luhan, and turned to the wooden couch. The two of them sat cross-legged at the table above the wooden couch, facing each other. 3 days ago, there was news from the black market that someone offered a reward for the head of a famous person, and that day someone accepted the mission. The Super S-class killer who accepted the mission was named Kakuzu. Sarutobi Hiruzen tapped his finger on the table, looked up at Luhan. Do you know Kakuzu? I know. Luhan nodded, a bright color flashed in his eyes. Well, the news just sent back. In addition to your situation, there is also the latest news about the daimyo. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued. It has been found out that the price of this reward for the daimyo is as high as 90 million taels. 90 million taels. Luhan raised his brows, but the price was a little scary. Should not. When the daimyo of the Kingdom of Fire was over 60 years old, with 3 sons and 2 daughters under his knees, he was considered to be very old, and there were successors. Therefore, even if the daimyo of the Kingdom of Fire was assassinated and killed, there would be no turmoil in the secular world of the Kingdom of Fire. When the daimyo dies, a new daimyo will appear immediately, and even if there will be twists and turns, it will not affect too much. In fact, the death of the daimyo, the most affected, will be Konoha. It was mainly a blow to his reputation. Konoha couldn't even protect his daimyo, so his reputation would naturally be affected. No matter what Luhan thought about it, he felt that the price of 90 million was too high. To talk about the head of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, 200 million. Luhan thought it was too low, but the name. He was just an ordinary person after all. The ninja world, in the final analysis, is still a world where force is supreme. Do you understand? 90 million taels, what will it attract? Sarutobi Hiruzen said, his face darkened. Lord Hokage, please explain. Luhan said, he didn't understand what Sarutobi Hiruzen meant. 90 million taels, in the entire ninja world, There are not many people who can spend so much money and dare to spend so much money to offer a reward to a famous person. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared into Luhan's eyes. This is an extraordinary price, a reward is offered. The attacker has two intentions. First, he must know that our Konoha will find out all this, and he also knows that after we know all this, we will inevitably send a large number of people to protect the daimyo, which will contain some of our Konoha's power. Quote. This is a conspiracy. The bounty put out 90 million. The money is real, we must take it. Second, although Kakuzu has already accepted the task of assassinating daimyo, the price of this reward is extremely high. It is estimated that there will be other black market Super S-class killers who will accept this task, maybe even a few. They all want this money. Commission, will use all means to assassinate the big name. This is a big trouble. Luhan's face changed, and he thought of a sentence. Money can make a ghost run the mill. What do you think? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Thinking. The daimyo must be protected. Luhan said solemnly. I wonder if Lord Hokage has any consideration. Who should he send to protect the daimyo? 3 days ago, I sent the Garrison Independent Brigade, but it wasn't enough. Sarutobi Hiruzen squinted slightly. I have discussed this matter with several advisors before, and there are currently 3 options. The first is the Hyuga clan, and Huyang has already asked me for orders. I'm still thinking about it. The second is the Uchiha clan. I have talked to Yokoyama today, and he expressed his willingness to accept this task on behalf of the Uchiha clan, and the third is Anbu. Who do you think should be chosen? Although Sarutobi Hiruzen was a dictator, he knew how to listen to opinions, which made him what he is today. I don't know. What do the advisors mean? Luhan asked cautiously. Opinions are different, that's why I ask you. Sarutobi Hiruzen said. So, then I think the Hyuga family is the most suitable. Luhan continued. The Hyuga family's Byakugan and Gentle Fist methods are both suitable for protecting the target, and since Lord Huyang has taken the initiative to ask for his life, if he wants to come, he is very confident. Sarutobi Hiruzen was silent. In fact, he still wanted to hear Hatake Tsukumo's opinion, but Hatake Tsukumo couldn't come back for the time being and couldn't wait. Go. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his hand after thinking for a while. Luhan got up and retired. Time flies, in the blink of an eye, half a month later. At noon that day, Luhan, who was in retreat, received important information from Sarutobi Yushuin himself, news from the Kingdom of Vortex. Last night, Tsuchikage, the second generation of Iwagakure village, and Mizukage, the second generation of Kurigakure village, fought a decisive battle on the central plain of the country of Vortex. After 8 hours of fighting, both of them died in the final stunt showdown. Perished together. 3 days later, the news spread throughout the ninja world, causing an uproar. On the 4th day of the death of Wu and Ghost Lantern, Iwagakure village announced that Wuji's disciple, Tsuchikage of Iwagakure village, 44 years old, assisted Onoki and succeeded Tsuchikage as the third generation of Tsuchikage. After Onoki took over as Tsuchikage, 2 major events happened in the ninja world. First, in the land of Vortex, the Kurigakure Corps launched a sneak attack on the attached Uzushiogakure Corps before evacuation, flooding the Uzushiogakure village. Second, Konoha village and Iwagakure village announced the formation of an offensive and defensive alliance, and officially declared war on Sunagakure village and Omegakure village. The Second Ninja World War officially broke out. Chapter 0398 Hiraishin, done. The mountain behind Konoha village, Anbu Station, dim cave room. In front of the stone wall, Luhan was cross-legged, his hands on his knees, his eyes were closed, and strange chakra fluctuations were rippling all over his body. There was silence for a while, and Luhan was like a silent sculpture, silent and motionless. In the past half a month, although the ninja world is turbulent, Luhan has very few things. Except for reading information at a fixed time every day, and occasionally discussing affairs with Sarutobi Hiruzen, he is in retreat at other times. Sarutobi Hiruzen indulges. Lu Han and ignores affairs, because compared to other things, it is clear that letting Han Guang first master Horaishan's technique is the most important thing. Lu Han has also been working hard for this. He has the confidence to cultivate the Horaishan technique, but he cannot determine the exact time. Maybe it will be a month later, maybe, just today. For a long time. The strange chakra fluctuations in the room suddenly disappeared. Lu Han opened his eyes, and a black light flashed under his eyes. At this moment, time seemed to stop, and the space seemed to fall into chaos. Lu Han's hand seemed to be lifted in the void, and the seal was released like flowing clouds and water, but it did not appear. Due to the chakra fluctuations, the dark Kuwu floated up in front of Lu Han, and after completing the release, he printed his palm with black light on Kuwu. One touch away. The standardized Horaishan technique emerges above kunai. Lu Han waved his hand again. Hundreds of black kunai of different qualities were scattered around. His gestures changed continuously. Lu Han completed the hand seal again, and touched a new kunai. Again and again, Lu Han completed the hand seal, leaving the warlock in Kuwushang, and repeating it, chakra is being consumed violently. The technique of Horaishan, if you use the induction of the technique to perform teleportation, the consumption of chakra is not much, and the consumption of the hand seal is the establishment of the technique. Unconsciously. When Lu Han's chakra bottomed out, he finally stopped, put down his hands to support his knees, and closed his eyes again. Everything is silent. After a long time, Lu Han opened his eyes and picked up a kunai from the ground, looking at the standardized Horaishan warlock above, grinning and sighing, it's finally done. When Sarutobi Hiruzen handed over the practice of Horaishan to Lu Han, it was the 31st month of Konoha in April, and at this time, it was the 31st of October of Konoha. After 6 months, that is, half a year, Lu Han finally completed the Horaishan technique in the true sense. As early as 10 days ago, Lu Han used up his golden potion, and in the 6 months since he came into contact with the Horaishan technique, he has done a lot of things, not always in the 10th of the golden potion. The time spent practicing Horaishan's technique is equivalent to 3 years of hard work by other ninjas. 3 years, the second generation Hokage Senju Tobarama's stunt Horaishan. This talent is amazing. Noon, Hokage building. Sarutobi Hiruzen, dressed in formal clothes, is sitting behind a desk in the spacious and splendid office, writing on a scroll. Total war has broken out. Sarutobi Hiruzen is a Hokage, and he has no time to spare. The frontline battle reports are continuously sent back to Konoha. Many of them need Sarutobi Hiruzen to personally intervene and deal with them, and some particularly important war orders must be written and issued by Sarutobi Hiruzen himself. Call. Sir, urgent news from the black market. The black robe figure appeared out of thin air in front of the desk, and respectfully handed the pocket scroll to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Black market. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his eyebrows with a puzzled look, and took the pocket scroll in his hand. Normally, there should be no black market information at this time. According to the law of black market opening in previous years, the black market will only open once in 2 months or as long as half a year, and the black market just opened once more than half a month ago. And now there is black market information. It can only mean that the black market opened earlier this time. It is very likely related to the all-out war that just broke out. In times of war, the black market is always active. The black robe figure disappeared in front of the desk without saying a word. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly glanced at the information on the pocket scroll. His face quickly became extremely ugly. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and the corners of his mouth trembled, as if suppressing his anger. Dong dong. Lord Hokage. With the sudden knock on the door, a hoarse voice sounded outside the door. Come in, Sarutobi Hiruzen said without looking up, still looking at the content on the scroll. Lu Han, who was wearing a black robe and a mask, pushed the door and walked quickly to the desk. It came just right. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced up and threw the pocket scroll to Lu Han. This time the black market opened early, and 4 Super S-level killers have already revealed their traces. Look. 4. Luhan frowned slightly and quickly glanced at the contents on the scroll. Intelligence 1. The bounty for the famous celebrity in the country of fire has been increased to 100 million taels. The mysterious Super S killer has already accepted this task. The black market has also opened a bet on the life and death of the big name within 3 months, and the death odds of the big name 1 to 3 has been reached. Intelligence 2. The bounty for the head of Konoha Anbu Ninja Hangwang has been increased to 35 million taels. There are already Super S level killers who have accepted the task of assassinating Hangwang. There is also a related task with a bounty of 5 million taels. The content of the task is to exchange for Hangwang. Intelligence 3. Konoha White Fang, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru were all given head bounties, and the reward for assassinating White Fang was as high as 45 million, while Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru were all 20 million, except for White Fang. In addition, the assassination bounty tasks of the other 3 have been claimed by the Super S-class killer. Intelligence 4. Konoha Hokage's assistant to Danzo was given a head bounty, and the assassination commission was as high as 50 million. No one has accepted this quest yet. Kurigakure is really rich. Luhan sighed after reading it. 99% of the bounty is Kurigakure. Too obvious. Danzo, Hitaki Sakumo, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Hangwang, and the Kingdom of Fire have all been suspended. Those with such great financial resources and such great hatreds are currently only Kurigakure. The people who were suspended, except for the Fire Country daimyo, all of them had been to the Vortex Country in the past 6 months and had a head-on conflict with Kurigakure. What's wrong with Anbu? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked. Hangwang took the initiative to find him. He naturally thought it was something. It's not. Luhan raised his head. It's me, Lord Hokage. I have completed the Hiraishin technique. Chapter 0399_Black Market Mission. It's done. Good. Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up suddenly, clapped the table and smiled. Han, you didn't disappoint me. Sarutobi Hiruzen has not addressed the name, Han, for a long time, and has always been Hangwang before. Thanks to Lord Hokage's cultivation. Luhan said humbly. Ha ha ha, since you have completed the Hiraishin art, come on, you are ready to challenge the position of Captain Anbu, right? Sarutobi Hiruzen said with anticipation, and at this moment, his name turned into Yuhi. Yes, I will succeed. Luhan's voice was sonorous and powerful, but the corners of his mouth were trembling obscurely. Okay, I also believe that you will succeed. Sarutobi Hiruzen gave Luhan a sure look, then sat down again, with a smile, and tapped his fingertips on the table. Let's get down to business. The black market thing, what do you think? Luhan turned his attention to the pocket scroll unfolding in his hands again. In fact, among the many bounties for Konoha that have appeared in the black market recently, there is no need to care about Danzo and White Fang's bounties. No Super S level killer will take these 2. The task, whether Danzo or White Fang, is extremely powerful, and one master is rooted, and the other is directly under Anbu with Hokage. The difficulty of killing 2 of them is not proportional to the reward. That said, the bounty is not high enough. As for Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, there is actually no need to worry, because they basically act at the same time. Unless several Super S-level killers join forces, it is difficult to pose a threat to them. S-level killers who are already competing and hostile to join forces. For the same reason, the bounty is not high enough. On the whole, there are only 2 bounty targets that really need to be worried. One is the name of the country of fire, and the other is Luhan. The bounty of the big celebrity has reached 100 million, and at least 2 Super S-level killers have taken up the task, because the big name itself does not have any strength, just an ordinary person who is the object of protection, so it can be said to be very dangerous. And Luhan, with a bounty of up to 35 million taels, appeared on an unknown person like Hangwang. I am afraid that there are not 2 Super S-level killers who are interested, and now, not only there are already Super S-level killers after accepting the mission, there was even a new intelligence reward, 5 million taels for cold light. Luhan is really dangerous. Lord Hokage. Luhan pondered for a long time before looking up at Sarutobi Hiruzen. His voice was slow. Perhaps, I should go to the black market. Are you going to the black market? Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned. What are you going to do? Go and see who took up the task of assassinating me. Lord Hokage should believe in my ability. Luhan continued. Currently, Captain Whitefang and Lord Danzo are still in the country of Vortex. I challenge the position of Captain Anbu. It's not possible for the time being. I might as well take advantage of this time to go to the black market. Maybe I can collect other useful information, about me, about the name. At present, the war in the country of Vortex has come to an end. The Kurigakure Legion is evacuating one after another, and the Konoha Mixed Legion is conducting a sweep. On the one hand, it is to fight against the guerrilla-fighting Kurigakure ninjas, and on the other hand, it is to search for the remaining ninjas of the Uzushiogakure Legion, Danzo and White Fang is responsible for each side. It can be as short as 10 days or as long as half a month. The affairs of the country of the Vortex will be completely over, and then White Fang and Danzo will return to Konoha. Half a month was enough for Luhan to go to the black market once and return. You go to the black market. Sarutobi Hiruzen muttered, thinking hesitantly, and finally tapped his fingertips on the table. Okay. Hurry up and get back. When will you be able to hit the road? If possible, this afternoon will do. Luhan said. Okay. Before dusk, I will send someone to send you a black market transaction order. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. Go back and prepare. Konoha Village, downtown, second floor of a ramen restaurant. There are not many people in the noodle shop, and there are no outsiders coming to Konoha. Therefore, apart from Konoha ninjas, there are only ordinary residents of Konoha eating in the noodle shop. In the corner by the window, Uzumaki Kushina frowned, biting the noodles angrily, chewing hard, as if he was angry with someone. Bastard. He said he came to pick me up from school, but he lied to me, bastard. Kushina muttered and looked out the window. Hey, dead girl, did you miss me? A hand pressed Kushina's little head, and a mocking voice sounded behind Kushina. No, go away. Kushina shook her head, turned to look at Luhan who was smiling, and looked out the window angrily. Lie, your nose will get longer. Luhan pinched Kushina's little nose, then went around to sit down at the table in front of Kushina, and said with a light cough, that just had an accident, no to pick you up. It was already an appointment that Luhan would pick up Kushina from school at noon today and have some noodles together, but because Luhan reported to Sarutobi Hiruzen about the completion of Horaishin, and caught up with the latest information on the black market, it was delayed and missed. Humph. Bad guys who don't keep their promises. Kushina snorted coldly